This is about a case from 2009 in Oregon. Small town called Willowbrook, population about 15,000 people. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, Friday night football is a big deal, and you can't go to the grocery store without running into at least 3 people you know. Real tight-knit community type of place. So there's this 17-year-old girl named Bethany Morris. She's a senior at Willowbrook High School, honor roll student on the volleyball team, works part-time at the local Safeway bagging groceries and stocking shelves. By all accounts, just a really normal, sweet kid. Not someone who got into trouble, not someone with enemies. Her parents, Linda and Robert Morris, they're like pillars of the community. Linda teaches 3rd grade at the elementary school. Robert manages the local credit union. On a Friday night in October 16th to be exact, Bethany tells her parents she's going to her friend Madison's house to watch movies and probably stay over. This is normal for her. She's done it 100 times. Her parents say okay, be safe, text when you get there. Standard parent stuff. She leaves the house around 7:30 p.m. She's wearing jeans, a gray hoodie, and this distinctive blue jacket with yellow stripes that she wore everywhere. Her parents watched her walk down the driveway and turn the corner. That was the last time they saw their daughter alive. Here's what they didn't know: Bethany had actually mixed up the address. Madison had recently moved to a new house across town, and Bethany accidentally went to the old address first. The new people living there told her Madison didn't live there anymore, so Bethany called Madison, realized her mistake, and started walking to the correct house. It was only about a mile away, not a big deal in a small town where everyone feels safe. She never made it. Saturday morning, Linda Morris wakes up and checks her phone. No text from Bethany. That's weird, but okay, maybe she forgot. She calls Bethany's phone. Straight to voicemail. She calls Madison's house. Madison's mom answers and says Bethany never showed up last night. Madison had been texting her around 8 p.m. asking where she was, but never got a response. Now Linda's heart is racing. She wakes up Robert, and they start calling everyone. All of Bethany's friends, their parents, even the hospital. Nothing. Nobody's seen her. By 10 a.m. Saturday morning, they're at the police station filing a missing person report. The officer taking the report is trying to stay calm, suggesting maybe she went somewhere else. Maybe her phone died, maybe she'll turn up. But Linda and Robert know something's wrong. Bethany wouldn't do this. She's responsible. She always checks in. The police start with the basics. They ping her phone. It's off. Last location was near downtown Willowbrook around 8:15 p.m. Friday night. They talk to Madison, confirm the story. They check local hospitals, bus stations, talk to her other friends. Nothing. By Saturday afternoon, the local news is running the story. Missing teen, last seen Friday night. If anyone has information, please call this number. Her school photo is everywhere. That's when the community really mobilizes. Sunday morning, there's a volunteer meeting at the high school gymnasium. The police are there to coordinate search efforts, and about 300 people show up. I mean, the town only has 15,000 people, so that's a huge turnout. Everyone wants to help find this girl. Here's where it gets weird. There's this guy there, Dale Hendricks, 34 years old. Lives alone in a small house on the edge of town. Works at Hanson's hardware store on Main Street. Been there for about 8 years. Nobody really knows much about him. He's one of those people who's just kind of there, you know? Shows up to work, does his job, goes home. Doesn't really socialize, doesn't go to bars, doesn't have friends over. Coworkers say he's quiet, polite enough, but distant. Dale shows up at the volunteer meeting with a backpack full of supplies. Water bottles, granola bars, a first aid kit, maps he'd printed out from Google. People notice because it's like, wow, this guy came prepared. The volunteer coordinator, some guy from the Lions Club, he's impressed. He puts Dale in charge of one of the search teams. And Dale is into it. Like really into it. He's the first one out in the morning and the last one to come back at night. He's suggesting search patterns, talking about grid systems, asking the police what areas they've already cleared. He brings coffee for everyone. He's got this concerned look on his face the whole time, keeps saying things like, "We have to find her," and "I can't imagine what her parents are going through." People are eating it up. They're like, see? There are still good people in the world. This guy doesn't even know the family, and he's dedicating all his time to this. Meanwhile, the investigation is moving but not getting anywhere. Detectives canvass downtown, talk to business owners, check security cameras. They find footage of Bethany walking along Main Street around 8:10 p.m., heading north. Then nothing. The next camera that should have caught her is at the corner of Main and Elm, but she never appears on it. Somewhere between those 2 points, she vanished. The police are thinking maybe someone grabbed her. They start looking at registered sex offenders in the area, people with priors, anyone suspicious. They do dozens of interviews. But nothing's connecting. Now it's Monday. Bethany's been missing for 3 days. Her parents are on the news begging for information. Linda can barely speak, she's so destroyed. Robert's reading a statement, asking whoever took their daughter to please let her go. They won't press charges, just bring her home safe. Dale watches this on TV in his living room while eating a frozen dinner. According to what came out later, he felt nothing. Just watched it like it was any other show. Tuesday, the search continues. Volunteers are starting to get discouraged. The weather's turning cold, there's rain in the forecast. Some people are starting to quietly think what nobody wants to say out loud, that they might not find her alive. But not Dale. Dale's still out there, still searching, still acting like any minute they're gonna find her walking around confused with a bump on her head or something. Wednesday morning, so 5 days after Bethany disappeared, Dale's searching along a hiking trail called Cedar Ridge Trail, about 10 miles outside town. It's a pretty remote area, not somewhere a teenage girl would normally go, but the search has expanded. They're checking everywhere now. Dale's with 2 other volunteers, and he's poking around in the bushes off the trail when he suddenly yells out, "Hey, I found something." The other volunteers come running. It's Bethany's jacket. That distinctive blue one with yellow stripes. It's partially hidden under some leaves, like someone tried to cover it but didn't do a great job. Police are called immediately. They seal off the area, bring in the K-9 units, the forensics team. This is the first real break in the case. Detective Marcus Webb is the lead on the case. He's been a cop for 20 years, seen everything. He shows up at the scene and starts asking Dale questions. Just standard witness stuff. How'd you find it? What made you look there? Did you touch it? Dale's got answers for everything. He was being thorough, checking off trail because sometimes things get scattered. He didn't touch it, just saw the blue color and recognized it from the photos. He seems genuinely shaken up, like he's upset that they found the jacket instead of finding Bethany alive. Webb makes a note of Dale's name but doesn't suspect anything yet. Why would he? Dale's been the most helpful volunteer they've had. The forensics team processes the jacket. No blood, no obvious signs of violence, but it confirms they're searching in the right area now. They bring in more resources, more K-9 units, even a helicopter. Thursday, the search intensifies around Cedar Ridge Trail. There's probably 500 volunteers now, plus professional search and rescue teams. It's a massive operation. And Dale is right there again. He's talking to everyone, including the detectives. He positions himself near the command post, listening to radio chatter, asking questions. Any new leads? What do you think happened? Are you checking the creek beds? What about old logging roads? Detective Webb notices him. Can't help it, the guy's always there, always talking, always asking questions. And something about it is starting to feel off. Webb can't put his finger on it yet, but his gut's telling him something. That evening, Webb pulls Dale aside for a more detailed interview. Just routinesis. We're talking to all the volunteers who've been most involved. Dale agrees immediately. Says he's happy to help however he can. They sit on the tailgate of someone's pickup truck, and Webb asks him about his background. Dale says he's from Idaho originally, moved to Willowbrook about 10 years ago for work. Never married, no kids. Parents are both dead. No close family. Works at the hardware store, likes hiking, keeps to himself mostly. Webb asks why he's been so involved in the search. Dale says it just felt like the right thing to do. Says he can't imagine what the family's going through, and if it was his daughter, he'd want the whole town looking for her. But here's the thing, Dale doesn't have a daughter. And the way he says it, the hypothetical, It strikes Webb as weird. Most people say something like, "If that was my kid," or "I'd want people to help." The specificity of, "if it was my daughter," when Bethany specifically is the missing girl, it's almost like he's inserting himself into the family dynamic. Webb files that away mentally. Friday morning, exactly 1 week after Bethany vanished, a search and rescue dog alerts near a ravine about half a mile from where the jacket was found. The handler follows the dog and there it is. Freshly turned earth, partially hidden by branches and leaves. A shallow grave. They find Bethany Morris. She's been dead for days. The medical examiner would later determine she died within hours of being taken, probably that same Friday night. Cause of death: manual strangulation. There's bruising on her neck, petechial hemorrhaging in her eyes. She fought back. There's defensive wounds on her hands and arms. The scene is devastating. Seasoned cops are crying. The volunteers who'd been searching with hope for a week, they're destroyed. Someone has to tell Linda and Robert that their daughter is dead. That all that hope was for nothing. And here's where things get really sick. Dale hears about the discovery. The police haven't even finished processing the scene yet, haven't released any information publicly, but somehow Dale hears about it. Maybe from radio chatter, maybe from another volunteer, but he hears. And he drives out there. He actually gets in his car and drives to the crime scene. Shows up while they're still working, still photographing, still collecting evidence. He parks on the road and tries to walk down to where they are. A state trooper stops him. Asks what he's doing. Dale says he's been searching all week, he heard they found something, he wants to know if it's her. The trooper tells him he needs to leave, this is an active crime scene. Dale resists a little, craning his neck to see past the trooper, asking, "Is it her? Did you find Bethany?" Detective Webb hears the commotion and walks over. He sees Dale and something in his brain just clicks. The guy's not crying. He's not upset. He looks excited. His eyes are wide, he's fidgeting, he's trying to see the scene. It's like he wants to see his own work. Webb makes a decision right there. He walks up to Dale with a concerned expression and says, "Dale, hey, thank you for all your help this week. Listen, we did find something, and I'm going to need to ask you some questions as a witness since you've been so involved. Can you come down to the station and give a formal statement?" Dale doesn't hesitate. "Of course, absolutely. Whatever I can do to help." They drive separately to the police station. Webb has Dale wait in an interview room while he confers with his team. He tells them, "Something's not right with this guy. I want everything we have on him, and I want to keep him here as long as we legally can." They run Dale's background. Turns out he's got a sealed juvenile record from Idaho. They can't access it without a warrant, but the fact that it exists is interesting. No adult record though. Never been arrested. A few speeding tickets over the years, that's it. Webb goes into the interview room with another detective, Sarah Chin. They start off friendly, thanking Dale for his time, for his dedication to the search, for being such an upstanding community member. Then they start asking questions. "Dale, walk me through your week. When did you first hear about Bethany missing?" Dale says Saturday afternoon when he saw it on the news. Decided right then he wanted to help. "And you showed up Sunday morning at the volunteer meeting?" "Yeah, brought supplies, wanted to be useful." "Where were you Friday night, October 16th? Dale doesn't even pause. "Home alone. Watched TV, went to bed early. He works Saturdays, so he always goes to bed early on Fridays." "Anyone who can verify that?" "No, he lives alone." "What about phone calls, texts, anything?" "Nope. He doesn't really text people. Doesn't have many friends." Webb lets that sit for a second. Then he shifts gears. "So you found the jacket on Wednesday. How'd that happen exactly?" Dale describes it again. "Was searching off trail, saw the blue color, recognized it. That area's pretty far off the trail." "What made you look there specifically?" Dale shrugs. "Just being thorough. Thinking about where things might get tossed or dropped." "Tossed? Interesting word choice." Dale catches himself. "I mean like if she was running or something. Or dropped it." Webb nods slowly. "Right. So you think someone took her?" "Well, yeah, I mean she's been missing a week. Someone must have." "What do you think happened to her, Dale?" And here's where Dale makes his big mistake. He starts speculating. Goes into detail. Says maybe someone grabbed her off the street, someone passing through town. Maybe they panicked, drove her somewhere remote. Maybe things got out of hand. What do you mean, got out of hand? Dale's on a roll now. Like, maybe he didn't mean to hurt her. Maybe she fought back, and he had to, subdue her. Then maybe he realized what he'd done and tried to hide it. Webb and Chin are both staring at him now. Subdue her how? I don't know, choke her or something. That's usually what happens in these cases, right? Webb's voice gets very quiet. Is it? I mean, from what I've seen on TV and stuff. Dale, we haven't released any information about what we found today. How do you know she was choked? You can see it on the video footage. Dale's face just drops. His eyes go wide. He realizes he fucked up. I'm just guessing. I'm just saying what could have happened. That's a pretty specific guess. I watch a lot of true crime stuff. It's common. Webb leans forward. What else do you think this person did? After he choked her? And Dale, he's flustered now, but he can't stop himself. He keeps talking. Says probably the person buried her somewhere remote. Somewhere off a trail where people don't normally go. Probably covered her with branches and leaves. Probably took her shoes because they'd have the person's DNA or footprints or something. Webb stops him. How do you know her shoes are missing? Dale freezes. Are they? I didn't say they were. I just assumed. You assumed someone took her shoes? I mean, if someone was trying to hide evidence. Dale, how do you know which direction she was facing when we found her? I never said. You said, probably covered her with branches. You're talking about covering a body face up or face down. Dale's starting to sweat now. I don't know, I'm just speculating. You're speculating about a lot of very specific details, Dale. The interview goes on for 2 more hours. Dale keeps trying to backtrack, keeps saying he's just guessing, just thinking logically. But he's already said too much. He's described the crime scene with an accuracy that you can't get from watching TV shows. Webb finally says, Dale, I think you know exactly what happened to Bethany Morris. I think you know because you were there. Dale asks for a lawyer. But it's too late. They hold him on suspicion of murder, and while he's in custody, they get search warrants for his house and his car. This is Friday night, so 1 week exactly after Bethany was killed. The forensics team tears his place apart. They find the dirt in his car trunk first. It's caked in the carpet, and it matches the soil composition from the burial site. They find fibers that match Bethany's clothes. They find a single blonde hair, caught in the weather stripping of the trunk. And then, in his bedroom closet, in a cardboard box under some old blankets, they find Bethany's shoes. Her white Converse sneakers with the purple laces. Just sitting there like trophies. They also find his computer. His search history is damning. In the weeks before Bethany's death, he'd been Googling her name, looking at her social media, even looking up the Safeway schedule to figure out when she worked. He'd searched how to strangle someone quickly, and how deep to bury a body, and how long before dogs can't smell decomposition. The full picture comes together over the next few days. Dale had been obsessed with Bethany for months. He'd first noticed her at the Safeway where she worked. He'd start shopping there specifically when she was working, going through her checkout line, trying to make small talk. Bethany was polite but not interested. Why would she be? He was twice her age. But Dale took her politeness as interest. Started following her around town. Would drive by her house. Would show up at the Safeway when she was working even when he didn't need anything. Her co-workers remembered him. Said he was creepy but harmless. They never thought to report it. That Friday night, October 16th, Dale had been driving around downtown. According to his GPS, which they pulled from his car, he'd been circling the same few blocks for about an hour. Then at 8:14 p.m., his car stopped moving on Main Street, right in the area where Bethany disappeared from the security cameras. He'd seen her walking alone. Saw his opportunity. Pulled over and probably offered her a ride. When she refused, and everyone who knew Bethany confirmed she was smart enough not to get in a car with a strange man, he grabbed her. Forced her into the car. Drove her out to Cedar Ridge Trail, A place he knew well because he actually did hike out there regularly. He strangled her in his car. The medical examiner confirmed the timeline matched. She died probably within an hour of being taken, between 8:30 and 9:30 p.m. that Friday night. Then he buried her in a spot he'd apparently scouted earlier. The grave showed signs of pre-digging, meaning he'd already dug part of it before he even took her. This was premeditated. He took her shoes as a trophy, kept them in his closet where he could look at them whenever he wanted. Then he went home, probably cleaned his car as best he could, though he obviously missed some spots, and waited. Waited for someone to report her missing. Waited for the town to mobilize. So he could be part of it. So he could insert himself into the investigation and watch everyone scramble around while he knew exactly where she was the whole time. That's the part that still gets to me. The calculated nature of it. He didn't just kill her. He wanted to be part of the aftermath. He wanted to help search for the body he'd buried. He wanted to talk to the cops, to hear what they knew, to feel like he was outsmarting everyone. And he almost got away with it. If he'd just stayed home, if he hadn't been so eager to be involved, they might never have looked at him. He had no connection to Bethany that anyone knew about. No obvious motive. He would have been just another face in a small town. But his ego couldn't let him stay away. He needed to be there. Needed to see it unfold. The trial happened in summer of 2010. His defense attorneys tried to argue that the evidence was circumstantial. Yeah, the shoes and the dirt and the fibers were bad, but they claimed it didn't prove he killed her. Maybe he found the shoes, maybe he'd driven down that road innocently. But then the prosecution played the interrogation tape. Watching Dale describe details of the crime scene that hadn't been released, watching him talk about how the killer probably choked her, probably buried her, probably took her shoes. It was damning. Plus, they had multiple forensic experts testify about the probability of all that evidence being coincidental. The numbers were astronomical. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Murder in the first degree. Kidnapping. Abuse of a corpse. The sentencing hearing was brutal. Bethany's family gave impact statements. Linda Morris could barely stand, she was shaking so hard. She talked about how they'd spent that week holding on to hope, praying their daughter was alive somewhere, and all the while he was standing next to them. Handing them water bottles. Pretending to care. Robert Morris said he'd shaken Dale's hand multiple times that week. Thanked him for his help. And the whole time, Dale had killed his daughter and knew exactly where her body was. Bethany's younger brother, who was 14 at the time, said he'd never trust anyone again. The judge sentenced Dale to life without the possibility of parole. Said his actions showed a level of depravity and callousness that made him irredeemable. Said the way he'd inserted himself into the search was among the most disturbing things the judge had seen in 30 years on the bench. Dale's in Oregon State Penitentiary right now. Still there 15 years later. He's tried to appeal multiple times. Claimed his confession was coerced, claimed the search of his car was illegal, claimed his lawyer was incompetent. Every appeal has been denied. Word is he keeps to himself in prison. Doesn't have friends, doesn't join groups. Other inmates know what he did. Know he killed a teenage girl. That doesn't go over well in prison. He's been jumped a few times, had to spend time in protective custody. He apparently doesn't talk about the case. Won't admit guilt, won't express remorse. In one appeal, his lawyer argued he'd been rehabilitated, and the prosecution pointed out that you can't be rehabilitated if you never admit you did anything wrong. Detective Marcus Webb retired a few years ago, but he gave an interview in 2019 for the 10-year anniversary of the case. He said Dale wasn't even that smart about inserting himself into the investigation. He was too eager, too helpful, too interested in details. Said most killers who do this try to blend in, be just another face in the crowd. But Dale wanted to be the star volunteer. Wanted everyone to notice him. Wanted the recognition for being such a good guy. And that's what got him caught. Webb said if Dale had just stayed home, if he hadn't shown up to volunteer, if he hadn't found the jacket in a suspiciously convenient spot, if he hadn't asked so many questions, if he hadn't showed up at the crime scene, if he'd done any one of those things differently, they might never have looked at him. But he couldn't help himself. There's something about certain killers where they need to be close to it. They kill someone and then they can't just move on. They need to see the aftermath. They need to see the pain they caused. Some of them attend the funerals. Some of them become informants and feed the police false leads. Some of them, like Dale, they join the search parties. It's a power thing. They get to stand there knowing something everyone else desperately wants to know. They get to watch people suffer while pretending to help. It's another way of controlling the situation, of being the center of everything. And the thing is, it happens more than you'd think. There's a ton of cases where the killer inserted themselves into the investigation. BTK did it. He communicated with the police for decades, taunting them. Israel Keys would visit the areas where he'd killed people, watch the news coverage. There was a firefighter in California who set fires and then responded to them as part of the volunteer fire department. Did it for years. It's like they can't resist. The actual murder isn't enough. They need the attention, the drama, the power trip of watching everyone scramble while they're the only one who knows the truth. In Dale's case, it killed him. His need to be involved, to be recognized as a helper, to watch the investigation unfold, that's what led police right to him. Bethany Morris would have been 32 years old now. Her family still lives in Willowbrook, though they moved to a different house. Couldn't stay in the one where they'd watched her walk down the driveway that last time. There's a scholarship in her name at the high school, gives money every year to a graduating senior who wants to study education, because Bethany wanted to be a teacher. The town put up a memorial at Cedar Ridge Trail. Just a simple plaque that says her name, her dates, and forever in our hearts. People still leave flowers there. And every time there's a missing person case now, investigators pay real close attention to the volunteers. To the people who are too helpful, too interested, too eager to be involved. Because sometimes the person helping you search is the same person who made the search necessary in the first place. So yeah, next time there's a missing person case and someone's being weirdly helpful, maybe pay attention to that. Maybe ask yourself why they're so invested. Maybe wonder what they know that they're not saying. Because Dale Hendricks taught law enforcement a valuable lesson. The guy handing out water bottles at the search party might be the same guy who knows exactly where the body is. And that's something you can't unsee once you know it.